for the nice introduction, and thank you also for the opportunity to speak here in this session. So we've heard quite some nice talks on sustainability and especially on the economic and social cultural dimensions, which is very important. Hence, I'm very happy to be here to present and embrace the ecological dimension. Especially within the ecological dimension, we focus on biodiversity. Biodiversity, in fact, we are living in the biodiversity crisis. We are losing species and we are losing diversity within species at an alarming rate. However, biodiversity was already recognized to be of major importance in 1992, when more than 190 member states signed the Convention of Biological Diversity. And more recently, the SDGs were designed, and biodiversity could actually be regarded as the foundation of the whole 2030 agenda. So you might wonder, well, how could someone measure or manage biodiversity? And this is actually a question which is puzzling us as scientists as well as practitioners a lot. And especially in ecological studies, we do have a concept called umbrella species. Umbrella species are species that are some way representative for ecosystems, for larger habitats or natural landscapes. Umbrella species are so-called indicator species, so by measuring and managing umbrella species, we are actually able to measure and manage ecosystems and, in fact, biodiversity. Now, within the last few years of my research, including my PhD, we have been focusing on two specific umbrella species, which I'm going to show you here. So one is the Western capercaillie. This is a bigger sized chicken. It's mostly black, the males, and they are actually indicator species, so umbrella species for old growth, biodiversity-rich forests. The second species which we focus on our research on is the black grouse, and the black grouse is somewhat the smaller relative of the capercaillie, and it's actually quite a nice indicator species, umbrella species for these subalpine areas, these open lands, oftentimes secondary areas which have been shaped by human use like agriculture or alpine pastures. So within my studies, I focused especially on two populations. So on the west, in the west here, you see the Black Forest in Western Germany, where we focused on the capercaillie population to do our research. And in the eastern parts here, you see Styria, Austria, where we looked at the black grouse population. And in fact, although the black grouse is a bird of conservation concern, since a century, we are observing ongoing extinctions. So you see the easternmost populations are going more and more extinct. The same might be true for the capercaillie in the Black Forest. As you can see here, the numbers have been declining dramatically. And if you look at the most recent numbers, extinction of this whole population is around the corner. Now, I guess you might wonder, well, how would you actually do science, measure, manage these birds? Because these birds are rare, they are elusive, they are shy. So as scientists, we oftentimes are a little bit puzzled by getting samples and getting our research objects. So it's quite hard, but also very nice work. And as you can see here, we are relying on non-invasive samples. So we're doing non-invasive genetics, for example, based on feces and feathers. And we do a lot of modeling approaches. This here is a recent species distribution model, so it shows us the distribution of the black grouse in Styria, in green areas, the better ones. And you can pretty much see that the areas are fragmented, the populations are somewhat not connected. Now we combined that with genetics, and we found pretty strong signals that the easternmost still existing populations and also the southernmost populations are already isolated, which results in reduced genetic diversity and increased extinction risk. Now, obviously, practitioners were intrigued by these results, but they are also like, well, these are nice results, but what should we actually do? This is a question which puzzled us a lot, and we thought, well, these have always been spatial analyses, but we never thought about the temporal aspects, right? We need to supply practitioners with hands-on materials. So we came up with a modeling approach when using the capercaillie in the Black Forest. And we actually built a population model. This is a kind of model where you're trying to represent the whole population. and then apply specific concrete management actions to check the results on the population in 2050. So by using this population model, we were able to play and check management actions, management strategies, and see whether or not these will have effects on the population, good or bad effects on the population in the future. Now, all these results, I could show you very fancy results. Also, practitioners are intrigued. All these results are nice, but they need to be communicated in order to contribute to sustainable development. And especially nowadays, methods and results are getting more and more complex, and the gap between science and society is increasing. So, especially we as scientists, we need to bridge that gap. And we do that by doing mission-driven science. We do that by acknowledging knowledge transfer to be an integral part of the project, and most importantly, by collaborating with all the practitioners outside in the fields and in the politics. So we did it exactly that. We formulated easy key messages, and we tried to supply decision makers with materials, with knowledge on how to implement these issues into spatial planning, and we were successful, which is very nice. I'm very happy to see that current spatial planning processes and instruments are based on our research as well. So I'd like to end my presentation showing you that hopefully biodiversity is not only represented in SDG 15, but it's basically the foundation of the whole agenda. And I would like to end with the citation of Antonio Guterres, who said, "Unless we act now, the 2030 agenda will become an epitaph for a world that might have been." And this is especially true for biodiversity. Thank you.